All right, hello everybody. Let's just wait for this screen to load. And yes, this is a little different from the GEG Asia Pacific event slide deck, not the one you saw on YouTube, but I wanted to go with the book creator colors because I think they're pretty cool. So we're going to be talking today about digital books and storytelling with Book Creator. So if this is what you're into, you're in the right place. Yeah, actually, what I would love for you to do is post in the chat. I've got my camera or my phone here going, and I'm going to keep an eye on the comments or questions that you have because you might notice I'm going solo here, but that's okay because I'm okay with going solo. It's always more fun with other people. But hi, Monica from Poland. Way cool. All right, that's great. Thanks for joining. So yeah. Post in the chat where you're from if you want, what you do. And I encourage you, if you have your own ideas with Book Creator, whether you have your own ideas already and examples, please share them in the chat. But if not, share with everybody what you might be able to do and other people might be able to do with Book Creator. It's a really versatile tool. And I'll say kids from easily grade 2 and grade 3 with an iPad can use Book Creator. I teach secondary, but my elementary teachers tell me, yes, they can. Let's see, we got David Norris. Oh my goodness, one of my closest friends in the whole world from Kampala in Uganda. Dave, great to see you, man. Throw your ideas in the chat. This makes it all worthwhile right there alone. Meet a new friend in Poland. And by the way, Monica in Poland, Dave lived in Poland with his partner and they absolutely loved it. All right, so let's move on though. But remember, please put your ideas in the chat. I'm not going to read through this. Maybe you saw it online, but Book Creator is a very versatile tool. It's user-friendly for kids and adults. You can put a whole pile of multimedia stuff in it, not just for storytelling, books, magazines, and things. I'll go through that a little bit later. So this is what we're going to do today. We're going to look at textbooks and learning materials, different ways you can use Book Creator. We'll talk about layouts and aesthetics. We're going to talk also about things like language and stereotypes and ethical things. All that's going to be a little bit brief, and then we're going to jump right into Book Creator. And if you pay attention here, I'm going to share with you a code where you can get all the free features for one book using my pro account and go ahead and play. I won't delete it if you want me to keep it on. A few pro tips before we go. If you want to create a book or a magazine or some kind of learning materials, think about what is it you want to do? A lesson plan, an activity, just a resource for an activity, maybe an assessment. Really know what your intentions are. And I also suggest you plan ahead. I'm going to show you examples of where I have quizzes and games and all my links and text ready to go before I build a book. And also think about your style. If you really like this and you think you're going to use it a lot, maybe come up with your teacher brand, so to speak. You don't have to do that, but it's still kind of a way for students to see, that's my teacher's book kind of thing. All right. And Monica says, cool. She's never been to Uganda. Well, neither have I. And I do have to visit Dave once we get this pandemic, under control, so to speak. A little bit about myself. My name's Nate. I teach diploma program history and MYP individuals and societies at Nagoya International School, kind of in the middle of Japan. Bullet train, about 90 minutes south of Tokyo. But I've been living here for about 25 years now. And I've been doing educational technology consulting now for probably about 10 years, a lot in the last 5, and especially since the pandemic. You can read more about me a little bit later, but note that I've got YouTube, Twitter, my website, which has got to be updated, to be honest, and then a trainer website if you want to use resources. I will share this slides deck with you, but you can also find it on that last one with the Parthenon icon there. So Book Creator, again, it's multimedia. You can add text, audio, video, images, even Google Maps and things. You can add quizzes, third-party tools like Quizlet and Quiziz, Flipgrid, you name it, it's easy to add. You can collaborate and co-create. That is a paid feature, mind you. You can publish privately and publicly with any account. Book Creator is free, and honestly, you get most of the features in it, and they recognize 120 languages. You can create multiple libraries for your classes and things like that. And again, user-friendly. Accessibility features are fantastic. But what I'm going to do is pop out of this and show you what all those user-friendly features are about. But first, all these things on the right side, I'm going to show you some examples that I've made, actually, and a few that other people have as well. And we got Dr. Lisa M in here. Hi for, at Malaysia. Dr. Lee is, sense of humility. She's a doctor. All right, let me jump out of this. And here's the first one that I want to show you. Okay, now, first thing you notice that if you go to a link in Book Creator that's been shared with the world as somebody who doesn't own the book, they're going to see this little pop-up and how many people have read the book and that kind of thing. I'm starting with Valentine's Day because, hey, Valentine's Day is coming. I have an interest in the history of Western and other traditions. Most of my books are on Western traditions, but I will be changing that. Notice I'm just clicking the link here, the arrow to go forward and backward. But what I want to note are some of the features. Now here you notice I put a table of contents in because this is kind of a long book. But as you flip through, you might notice I've got pictures, and note I've cited my sources. That's an important thing. I will tell you, if you use images from Book Creator, they're automatically copyright free and cited for you, which is a nice feature. And I just look at Monica saying, visited ASW some years back with a group of other Polish educators. Very impressed. Very, very cool. So there you go. Kudos to you, Dave. So I'm not going to go through the whole book, but I want to point out, notice the consistency that I've made. Sometimes I have columns, 3 columns, sometimes 1, but I've always got like a little thing at the bottom. I'll show you how to do that. I got a little thing here like, did you know? When I have that extra information I want to share but doesn't fit with what I'm writing, I put a little did you know, or hey, this is cool. And note here too that yes, you can put videos in, and if you click on the video, I've got a lot of tabs open, so maybe this is a little bit slow to pop up here, but you'll get a pop-up and you can watch the video. There you go. You can choose to watch it in a new tab, or you can just watch it right here within Book Creator. So I'm going to close this and go to another one here, and I'm going to show you what some of the other buttons are all about. Here's one I recently did about the story of Christmas, and I want to show you this one because I want to kind of go a little bit to the end here. I want to show you that it really is easy to add multimedia and things like this. Now note this one, I made this one with the feature where you can create a comic book because I think students and young people like comics. It gives a little bit more of a playfulness to it. I'm going to jump quickly to the end here though, because I want to show you that I've here linked a bunch of different things. I have an escape room. I've got using Google Forms. I have a History Extra podcast that is all about the story of Christmas. Again, a video here. I've got Quizlet flashcards, a Kahoot game. This one right here, if you tap on it, it's a quiz show. And so again, you could open this in a new window. I made this with a tool called Flippity, and it just works like a game show. You split your students into teams, and then they choose where they want to, what they want to challenge themselves with, and they keep score. And again, you can open this in a new window, so Book Creator does not limit you to things like that. You can really have some fun with it. Now, just a few other examples here. Book Creator can give you the option to be, a little bit more serious, make something look a little bit more like a book. In this case, it's a coffee table book, but again, it's multimedia, right? Keep this one in mind, African-American communities destroyed by white neighbors. I'm going to use this as an example when I talk about ethics and that kind of thing. Here's one that I use with my students on the French Revolution. What I want to point out is, note here I've got links to 360-degree in particular, augmented reality tools. I'm not going to show you those right now because of time limits, but notice how this looks a bit like a comic. But what I've done is put real world quotes, right? Quotes about Louis the 16th and Marie Antoinette. And I had a worksheet with this where students were looking at the book, but working on a worksheet as they demonstrated their learning. And notice the ooh and the yeah and the boom. You can get a little bit playful if you want when you use the comic feature. But again, this was a tool for learning with grade 9 students, and they were engaged. And I could even refer to the book and say, okay, what did you get from this? So as the students were looking at their worksheet, they can actually refer to the book, or I can project the book in my class, and then we can have that conversation. Okay, another couple of examples, and then we're going to actually make this stuff, right? Here's one where some grade 7 students were documenting a middle years program event that they held, and you know, they took the videos, they took the photos, and then they made this book. And these kids were 12 years old to 13 years old when they did it. And if you play the video now, you will not hear these because I don't have my tab feature going. StreamYard's had a little problems with tabs, but you can embed videos and you can embed audio and things like that. This was done by grade 7 students, but I'll tell you, elementary students can use this too. And here's another one that we did with our grade 12 students for, you know, a week-long international mindedness, you know, themed week that we had. Of course, international mindedness, we want to keep in our heads 365 days of the year, right? But what they did was record themselves. You notice the little audio things here. I'll play one, but you're probably not going to hear it. This is one I did, my favorite. Nanakorobi yaoki, a Japanese proverb. Fall down 7 times, stand up 8. Never give up, right? Try again. You probably won't hear this, but let's see. So you probably didn't hear that, but basically the audio had, you know, me reading. That's an accessibility feature, right? If you have some long text, something I want to do with my books in the future is put me reading and narrating the books so other kids have that feature. You know, as they look at the books and teachers as well. But here's an example of a collaborative effort where students took a playful image. They did their, you know, put in whatever language and whatever country they chose the proverb or expression to come from. We put it in the language and then put it in English because we are an English speaking community at Nagoya International School. So there's a lot of fun, cool stuff that you can do. I will point out while we're here now, you've got the README feature. I honestly don't really like the audio. It reads a little bit robotically, but it keeps getting better. It reads in multiple languages. You can choose, do you want it to sound like a male, a female, and that kind of thing. This remix feature right here means that if you like this book, you can make a copy of it and then you can edit it, right? So wherever you see remix on somebody else's book, that means you can actually copy it, which is pretty cool. And I always keep remix on my books because I make mine for secondary students, and teachers, you know, in upper elementary or middle school might say it's too complicated. David just said, this looks amazing. Dave, I'm glad you like it, and I'll get you set up. The audio feature would be great for some of our special needs students, Dave. Absolutely. And that's the point of it being there, right? I'll note the gear wheel here. When you click on this, these are the different settings that you could choose as the viewer or as the reader. You can play with that a little bit on your own. If you like a book, you can click the share button, share it to Google Classroom directly. You can embed it on your website. And yes, you can print these books in PDF format, which is kind of nice as well. Let's say you use the magazine feature and make a magazine template. Then you can actually publish it in PDF. And this one right here just lets you look at it, you know, looking at the whole screen. Keep throwing your comments in there, folks. Let's see, Monica says, I love how you made use of so many book creator features. Thank you for that. I think I don't make enough use of the features, but explore. There are more actually I'm going to show you in a moment. All right, so let me come back to my slide deck here because I do want to talk briefly about storytelling and things like that. Just wait a moment for it to load. And before we get to that, just to let you know, in this deck, we do have, you know, I've put together a tutorial on how you can add stuff and publish to the world. So if this is too fast for you, you can come back to this video or you can go to that tutorial. Textbooks, storybooks, magazines, how-to guides, presentations, portfolios, essays. Your imagination is really your only limit. And note there's a link here that you can go to to get other resources for teachers. Very quickly, digital storytelling. It's like a multimedia, computer-based way to tell stories. It's digital, it's electronic. I think that's pretty obvious, right? The one thing I want to point out, though, is that you do not have to publish publicly. You can share just with certain people. And also, don't limit yourself to just stories, the idea of storytelling. You can put a cookbook together. You can document an event at your school, like those grade 7 kids did that I was working with. Just if you have the idea, you can do it. Now, best practices, here are a few things that I recommend. First and foremost is equity and honesty. When we're looking at certain topics, there is potential for us to stereotype. And, even I've done this, 15 years ago when I, was 10 years into teaching and not realizing, I think I'm representing parts of the world unfairly. So think about that kind of thing. Your audience and purpose, who is it really intended for? For me, my stuff is all mostly middle school and secondary, but sometimes the collaborative stuff is meant for other people. I recommend that you do your research first and type it all out because it'll make you create your book much more quickly. Include your citations and credits. Social studies guy, right? Can't emphasize that enough. Also, I recommend you have text and images and videos and all that stuff a little bit. Have it all prepared before you prepare your book because it'll help it go a lot more quickly. Same as with having your research done and your citations ready, and also be consistent. Be consistent. If you're creating a book and you've got something over here, something over there, consistency I think helps the viewer. Of course, that's your choice. I'm not going to read through all of these. You can read through them later. I think experienced teachers get this stuff, but again, this is a chance to flip our classroom. It's for a chance for us as teachers to be creative and model. We can give students voice through the activities within the books that we do. We can take stuff that's too big for our students to understand and make them a little bit smaller. And we can model things like academic honesty and showing evidence of our own learning and our research and that kind of thing. And you can share it with the world. And students can do all of that too, but they can get practice giving their voice, finding an authentic audience, learning from each other through the collaboration feature. It helps them, become self-confident and motivated when they've created something that they really, really like. It's a record of their learning too, right? You can read through these on your own. Lots of skills, research, self-expression, academic honesty, creativity, design features, how to use social media and digital platforms, empathy, right? There's just a lot of things that kids get from this. So the next few slides I'm going to go through fairly quickly. And then I'm going to show you how you can actually start practicing on a book with all the features. And then we're going to make one ourselves. Just keep pouring my water here. So first, you can create a free account. That's where you're going to go. Yellow button in the top left. I know we don't have time to wait for you. If we were in person, we'd get you set up. I do want to note that there is a student sign-in, which comes in as, student sign-in, which is yellow, a teacher sign-in as blue. So just double check that you're signing in as a teacher, and you will want your students to be signed in as students and you as a teacher. And you can invite them in. And the nice thing is with Book Creator, if you have multiple accounts, I've got 2 different Book Creator accounts. I can choose the one that I want to use. And when you go in, I will point this out. If you go straight to a book or straight to your dashboard, right up here in the top left, there's a little X. If you're not sure how to navigate, just go to the top left. You have an X or you have the hamburger, as we call it. That's your menu, right? So click on that if you get a little bit confused on where to go. And I want to point out some new features just came out 3rd week of December 2021. You can add Bitmojis, GIFs, animated emojis. It's integrated with Canva now if you're a Canva user. So that's way cool. I will point out too, if you're into getting educational technology badges from companies, you can become a Book Creator certified author probably in about 3 or 4 hours just by watching the videos and creating a book. And if you want, then you can become a Book Creator ambassador. They do it once a year in the summertime. So keep an eye out for that. This is linked, by the way. So, I guess maybe that's not it, but you can click here and you can learn how to be a book creator. a book creator certified author. So now we are going to do a demo. I'm going to show you how to create, but if you would like to just very quickly copy this down or take a screenshot, I've set up a book where this is the invitation code. All you have to do is create a book creator account, and then you join another book, and then you type in that code. Note it's all capital letters, right? It's all caps. I'll give you another moment just to do that. MJ9HR9B. And I can pop that into the chat here on StreamYard. Well, for you, YouTube, in just a moment. All right, so let me just actually pull that out, pull that down. And I'm going to go to StreamYard. Sorry, this is going to look a little bit ugly in a moment here, but let me go with comments. And I'm going to just pop this in here for you. Now, this book is open source and it's for everyone, but anyway, feel free to jump in and play around. And we're going to just jump in and do the features because we're 20 minutes in now. All right, so first off, when you go into Book Creator, it's usually going to take you to the most recent book that you have been creating, okay? So again, right up here in the top left, note the hamburger there, right? I'm just going to click on that. And now I'm in my teacher dashboard. This certification tab, that'll tell you all about how to get certified as a book creator, certified author, excuse me. The Learn section here is where you can go and look at tutorial videos if you need them. But I recommend you just do the certification, really. But Book Creator is quite intuitive. It's fairly easy to use. And in the Discover library, right? Here, note that you've got examples of elementary books, middle school books, high school books. You can go through here and then you can kind of scroll through and see what other people have created. And if they're remixed, then you can make a copy of it. And you can just keep going down and then you can find other books that are by subject area, whatever you teach, right? So let me go back to libraries here because this is where we're going to be at. Now, that code that I just posted in YouTube, what you're going to do is go down here and click Join a Library, right there where it says Join a Library. If something has been shared with you, my fingers are a bit sticky here. Let me just kind of come down a bit. That's where you can join a library when you've been given the invite code. And you can create new libraries and that kind of thing. Here I've chosen class books for us. So I'm going to click right here. And this is the only book in the library. This is the invite code. If I click right here at the top, it says invite code. This is the one that I encourage you to jump into and play around with. Okay. So I'm going to close this because I'm going to make a new book myself based on a recent trip to Kyoto, Japan, one of the coolest cities ever, and kind of show you how I go about making my books. So first thing I'm going to do is go right up here to the yellow button at the top, new book, simple enough, right? So I'm going to click new book. And if I want, I can go to the templates, right? And I can choose from the different kinds of templates that they have. Now, I'm not going to use a template, but notice that they have newspapers, magazines, textbooks, if you want to make a textbook, cookbook, notebook, fiction. They have different themes. Play around with it and have a look. Now, what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to go with the comic feature just so you can see like the comic feature things. But landscape, if you like the book's opening, kind of in a landscape feature. Square, if you want people to view it on, say, Instagram or on a mobile. And portrait, if you want that magazine kind of feature. But this is making things from scratch, right? So I'm going to choose landscape and the comic. And that's what I'm going to click on. So you notice here, I've got absolutely nothing, but that's okay. What I'm going to do is create a cover that I think is appealing. And I want to point out that right up here, this plus button, first, do you notice how simple this is? There's not a lot to look at, right? So I'm going to click the plus button and add an item. And again, there's not lots to look at. So if I'm bringing something in, whether it's a link or a picture or whatever, I'm going to click on import. And so I can choose an embed code if I'm embedding a Flipgrid, something or other, something from Google Drive like a doc, or even a PDF file or a photo, or even a map. I think what I'm going to do though is start with files. I'm not going to search for images because I have my own images actually. So I'm going to go to my Kyoto 360 from my recent trip, Fushimi Inari, and I'm going to go with my 2D photos. And I'm just going to scroll down and have a look for the photo that I want. No, that's not the one I want. I got one that I really like that's got this. Let's see, that's the one I like. It's got that lantern hanging. So I'm going to click on that and it's going to put my image in. Feel free, everyone, if you want to post a comment in the chat and that kind of thing. If you have a question, then note, I'm just going to click and drag, and I'm going to cover the whole thing. I want this to be like a book cover, right? So I'm going to take that. I'm going to center it a little bit. If I'm not sure what it's going to look like, I can go up to my play button here in the top right, and I can see what it looks like. And I say, okay, that's kind of cool, but let me go back to edit, button in the top left. And I'm just going to pull this over a little bit. See how it looks? Yeah, now I have most of that lantern in there. Now what I'm going to do though, so I don't mess it up, I'm going to right click and I'm going to lock it. And so you notice here now I've got these little things that lock. You'll see these little locks on the side. And I'm clicking and trying to move it, but I can't do that. I can't move it. It's locked. It stays where I want. So now I'm going to click plus again. And I'm going to add some text. Now, I've used the cartoon feature, so I'm going to stick with the cartoon feature. I'm not going to use the caption, but I'm going to make this, well, maybe not a little bit playful. I'm going to use boom later on, maybe. And I'm going to go Majestic Kyoto, Japan. I think I'm going to bold just the Majestic Kyoto part. I'm going to click done. And okay, now it's this ugly black text, right? Well, okay, this is how we fix it. Up here, this is the next button that you really want to look at, is the inspector. So you click on that, and this is where I can fix my text. So I'm going to toggle this a little bit. Majestic Kyoto. I think that looks good right there. I'm going to change the color, though. I'm going to make it white. And I'm going to go back. I think I'm going to add a shadow. Notice there's a little shadow there. But I'm going to change my font because I don't think that's really, I want to be a little bit more thoughtful with it, right? So let me go with Comica title, see how that looks. Yeah, I'm kind of a serious, I'm a joker, but I'm kind of a serious guy too. Let me go short stack and see how that goes. No, yeah, Majestic Kyoto, that looks a little bit more majestic. I'm going to go with that. Now, I can put my text into columns and things like that, but you know what? I'm happy with this. I am going to go to my play button, kind of see how it looks. And that looks good. It kind of fits to me, right? So now what I'm going to do is lock this. I'm going to right click and I'm going to lock. Note that you can arrange things, you can move things. So if I take the text and move it to back, then you miss it, it's gone, right? But I can right click it and move it to front. Oh, it's missing. So I'm going to take my image and I'm going to move my image to the back. All right, so now let's look at adding a few other things. I've got my first page. Hey, Amit, good to see you from India. All right, one of my GEG pals. And, you know, great to see you. Let me click here. All right, so I want to add a page. There's two ways to do this. You could go up here to pages. And you can see I've automatically got a couple of pages added. And the thing is, I can drag these, I can move them. Of course, this is my cover, so I'm going to put that right back. But all I have to do is actually click on the arrow here. It'll take me to the pages that have already been set up for me. But I want this to be a little bit like a comic because I'm making this a little bit playful for my students, but I think adults are going to like it too. So I click plus, and down at the bottom here, you notice I've got these different options, right? The call outs kind of thing. I'm going to choose the panels. So I'm going to start with, let's see, I want a title in this one. So I think I'm going to go maybe with, oh boy, let's go with this one right here. This is going to be my thing on Fushimi Inari. So now I've got my my panel's already set up for me. So the nice thing about the panels feature is if I tap in here, it's already locked for me, number one. And number two, I can either take a photo of myself or I can upload an image. So let's upload another image. So I can search if I want Kyoto, and I have all these copyright-free images that are going to pop up, right? This is not Kyoto, by the way, so you want to know if the images are proper. Hey, that's the same lantern in my image. I'm not going to use that though. Um, in this place, I'm not actually citing all of my work because I took all these photos myself. So I'm going to just kind of scroll down. I'm going to look. I like the gate actually. Let me use that one right there. I've got a better one, but I'm going to go with this. And so once that pops up, now I can kind of move my gate around. So if I want, I can click that and I can scroll around. I can maybe make it a little bit smaller. Now, see, it auto fitted for me, so I'm going to have to kind of go with that. And I'm going to leave it at that. And if I tap in, it's locked, right? So you can move it around to what you like, but it will stay locked for you. Of course, you can right click and you can unlock it if you want. So let me just quickly put in a couple more images from my files. Yeah, let me just randomly put a few things in here. It's an Inari shrine, which means it doesn't have the Koma Inu lion dogs. It's got wolves, which is pretty cool. Let me just add one more here. I'm going to show you what I'll do with the last one. Yeah. Oh, I like the Shimanawa, actually. Those white things that you see mean that it's purifying the area, right? So now I'm going to tap here, but I think in this case, I'm going to take a photo because maybe I want to, personalize it a little bit. Let me just do this. If I like it, I'm going to use it and it's going to throw it in there for me. And then I can drag it around. And here's where I could go to, for example, plus, and I can record. And I'm going to start recording. Watch this. I'm going to hit record. David, I'm making you miss Japan. Yes, of course, because we all love Japan. But I'm sure Uganda is pretty cool. A close friend of mine, Musa, who's from Uganda, is actually in Nagoya, but we haven't seen each other because of the pandemic. We did music together in Tokyo. Great guy. I got to get you guys connected. All right. So anyway, I clicked the camera button, and now I'm going to start. Sorry, let me just cancel that. I click the plus button, and I'm going to record. And I click start recording, get my countdown. Kyoto is filled with many interesting places, and Fushimi Inari is well over 1,000 years old. And we're going to tell you about the history of Fushimi Inari in the coming pages. So I stop the recording. I can listen to it, see how it sounds. If I like it, I click use recording. And then I can just click this and drag it wherever I want. Let me just tap here. And then, of course, people now realize that that's where to go. Let me lock that into place. All right, so now let me go to the next place. Hey, Gary Garcia, my pal in the Philippines. All right, and yes, Book Creator is fantastic. And thanks for the comment on the photos, Gary. I do like the photos. All right, here's my second panel. Here I'm going to add a little bit of text. So I'm going to actually go down to my panels again, and I'm going to use this one. I'm going to put two. That's a little bit too big. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go here to pages. I don't really like that one. So I'm going to add a page. See the plus button right there on the right. But what I'm going to do is take this after hitting edit, and I'm going to go drag it right there. Because it kind of messed up what I wanted to do. I can delete that later. In fact, let me show you. I go back to pages. I'm going to click on this one. I didn't quite like it. I hit my lips, and I just delete. So let me tap on this. It opens it up. And I think for this one, I'm going to, let's see. That was a little bit too big for me. So let me go here with this one. I'm going to put a little bit of text in these. Hey, we got Sung Shay in here from Taiwan, I believe, right? Okay, here's my pro tip for you. All right, great to see so many people from around the world, man. We've got people in Taiwan, we got people in Poland, the Philippines, India, and Uganda. and Malaysia. Way cool. I love it. All right. So here is Fushimi Inari Taisha. This is what I like to do. I like to take this, for example. I'm going to copy the title. I'm going to go back to my book. And this time when I add text, right? So the plus button, go to the plus button, play around. And I'm going to type that. I'm going to hold it. And this is going to be that consistency I was talking about earlier. I'm going to put it up here and I'm going to make that a little bit prettier. Hopefully that's pretty enough. I'm going to lock it. And now I can't move it. It's stuck in there. And now I want to add text in this block right here. So go to plus, I choose text, and I'm going to choose text here. And now I go back to my Google Doc where I have my writing done. I'm going to do that, copy that, I'm going to paste it here, click done, and I'm going to drag it. And then I'm just going to grab my little blue thing there. And I think that looks pretty balanced. I'm going to lock that. Actually, no. I mean, let me point out that while that's open, you can go to the inspector and you can change the color if you want. I'm going to change that to white so you can't see it. Let me go back. I'm going to right click and lock it. And here, I'm going to add an image, another one of Fushimi Inari, because we're already there, right? Let me go. I mean, that's a pretty famous photo. No tourists in Japan, so it's pretty easy to take some really sweet photos. All right, so there, it doesn't stand out that much. So the nice thing is the text is locked, but if I double click, let me double click on that. No, it's not letting me do that anymore. All right, I'm just going to unlock that. I'm going to double click and highlight everything and bold it. Click done. And I'm going to lock it. And that stands out a little bit better. And we got Corey in Japan too. Corey Kobe, where are you from? Tell us where in Japan you're from. I'm in Nagoya. All right. Let me show you a few other features so we can wind things down. We try to keep this at about 45 minutes. I will grab another piece of text. Let's go with Kiyomizu Dera. Let me grab these. And don't worry about the design of the book right now. Let me just put this in to give you, paste that in there. Gonna highlight and bold it all, and then click done. And I'm gonna put this in here, see how it kind of looks. Oh, and that fits kind of nicely. Maybe I'll put it down here. Right click and lock it. I'm gonna right click and copy that, paste it. I'm gonna pull it down here to keep some consistency. Notice the green lines allow me to keep everything aligned. Kiyomizu Dera. Click done. Use my down arrows on my keyboard to put that in place and then lock it. All right, so Osaka. Osaka is great. I want to get to Osaka Castle and take a photo. Actually, let me show you a couple of things here. Photos first. Let's go with copying text, or sorry, hyperlinking something. So I'm going to choose copy a link, and I'm going to go back here. Now let's say I want to talk a little bit more about Kyoto, well, Fushimi Inari. This is all about Kyoto, but let me just unlock this. And I'm going to double click. And this is about Kyoto, but just for the sake of showing you, I've highlighted the text and clicked on the link button. I paste that in, I click save, click done. Whoa, I did something wrong there. Hold on, let me put that in again. Paste, I click save, and it turned blue, so that means now it's hyperlinked. So it's a little bit difficult to see that link. So you want to think about your image in the back. In fact, what I think I'm going to do is go to the inspector and I'm going to put a background in. Maybe I'll make it gray. That doesn't look very good, but the whole point is learning design. Let your kids and yourself figure out how to do it. But now I've got a link right there. So if I click play, and Corey, just to let you know, Dave actually lived in Tokyo for about 8 years, 10 years, 12. I'm not sure, Dave. Let him know. But notice now that I've got a link that takes me to somewhere else. I'm going to go back to the top left and click edit. I want to show you to put in video. So I'm going to click on the video that I've prepared. This is Kyoto in 360 degrees. Let me go here. Now I'm going to click my plus button again. And here's an example of, again, importing multimedia. And so I'm going to go with embed because I copied the URL. And note here, you've got Adobe, you've got YouTube, you've got Flipgrid, Google Forms, you name it. If there's an embed code or a link, you can do it. Now I can see from the thumbnail, this is the one that I want. And this is way too big. What I'd normally do is probably put this on a different page and make it a bit bigger, but I'm just clicking and dragging, putting it in place. I'm going to lock that because I want people to know where I'm talking about. So I'm going to go to my plus button again. I'm going to import and choose maps. And I'm going to put Kyoto. And there it comes up, Kyoto, Japan. And I'm going to click add. And now I've got this humongous map. And I'm going to take that. You can play around with it and that kind of thing. But for the sake of this demo, just going to put it right there. And I'm going to right click and lock. If you're talking about history, always like 9 years in Japan, Dave. Awesome. When you're talking about history and places and culture, you want people to see where you're talking about. Let me show you a few more things. Plus button. Let's say I want to have somebody talking like me. I'm going to do that right here. I'm going to add some text and say just a few words. Dot, dot, dot. Click done. I'm going to drag this into here. Of course, this doesn't look pretty, right? But you would take the time to make it pretty. I'm going to click plus. I'm going to choose record, or actually I'm going to choose camera. And now I'm going to record a video. Hey, everybody. I want to tell you all about Kyoto. It's such a cool city in Japan. And this page is all about Fushimi Inari and Kiyomizu-dera, two places that blah, 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 blah. Now, if I like it, I'm going to click use video. Dave is a history teacher, by the way, just to let you know. He's a close friend of mine. Teaches DP history and middle years program, individuals and societies, where he has maybe clarified, Dave, but I think you're at an IB school in Kampala, Uganda. Way cool. Let me just resize this a little bit. I want to size this with these other things. I'm going to drag it up here and click here. Let me just pull this up just to see that it's coming. Okay, I want to bring that to the front. So I'm going to right click and move to front. Got to right click the let me just undo that. I'm going to take this and move it out of the way. Sometimes you have to be careful. Move that to front. Now I'm going to choose my just a few words, right click, move to front, put that right there. And so now students can see me giving them a message. So there's quite a lot you can do. Let's see. You have a pen feature if you want. You can highlight certain things. All right, so let me do this. And let's say I want to highlight that. And I click done. Now at the top, you can see there's an eraser, there's a paint bucket, happy faces, and emojis. I'm going to click done. And now I've got that. If I don't like it, I can just, right click and stop doing it. ISU, DP, Geo, and MYP. Dave, you're a Geo teacher. All right, I love it. But I know you were teaching diploma program history at some point. So, hey, everybody, by the way, connect with each other. Put your Twitter handle or where people can find you on whatever social media. This isn't just about me and the tool, right? It's about connecting each other as well. All right, so back to a few other things. You know what? You can play around and learn the different features. I want to just show you how you make this public for the world, right? So now I've got my book, right? Now, here it says a new book at the bottom. I'd probably call it The Majesty of Kyoto and type it correctly. If you want, now, first off, the little library thing here, if you click on that, this is where you can take one book and another book and put them together. Great for collaboration. If it's shared with you, you can import a book and then start, moving them together. You can change libraries, and that kind of thing. I'm not going to do that right now, of course. In the middle here, you can, this is where you publish it, but this is where you can download it as an ebook. This is where you can click collaborate. And if you do click collaborate, click start collaboration, and that means you can invite people in. In fact, I did not do that with this book, so I'm going to click on that and click collaboration and start. So that code should help you out. I'll post the code again in the chat on YouTube once I'm done with this last little bit, because we're almost at the end here, folks. So if you click on the share button at the bottom there, here you click publish online. And this is where you can give a description. You can change the title if you want. I'm not going to do that now. This is where you can make it public. And here's where you would allow remixes. If you want other people to share what you're doing with their students, but need to modify it and that kind of thing, all you do is click on, and then you click publish online. Okay, you do have to give a description. I forgot that. Sorry. I'm going to put Kyoto, Japan rocks and publish online. And now the book's been published. And so all I had to do is click copy the link. And now it's copied to my clipboard. And this is the link that I would share with my students on Google Classroom or that kind of thing. You do have analytics where you can see where people have looked at your books and that kind of thing. I'm in my training account right now, so I don't have anything special to show you, but this will show you who and where people are reading from. The gear wheel up here, click on that, and then you can choose the people that are working on your book. What do you want them to do? So actually, let me close that one and come to this one. Click on the gear wheel. And oh, this is for the library, by the way. Sorry, folks, the library. So people can publish their books. I'm going to confirm that. And I can publish the library online. I'm going to do that. I'm not going to give it a title. Maybe I'll put open source practice books. And you notice I don't type very well. Okay, I've got to go through a few more different things with that, but I'm not going to do it. But the point is, that's where you can get people seeing it throughout the world, right? Using the gear wheel here. So let me just kind of go back to the donut. Let me click on class books, and this is the library. If I click here, if you have a whole pile of books, you're going to see a whole bunch on your shelf, kind of thing. So. And free up, we've got somebody in here. All right, yeah, contact each other. I'm not sure what you've got typed there and what it means, but anyhow, this pretty much is Book Creator. So let me just come back to, first off, going to share the form that you can download a certificate for you. And I will post this link so you can join a book and kind of collaborate a little bit. I'm going to come back and I'm going to stop sharing my screen here, folks. So I've just posted a form that a Google form. If you type in the information, you're going to be able to get a certificate emailed to you. We're not going to share your email addresses and things like that. So feel free to download a certificate and tell people that, hey, I went to this workshop and I had fun with it. Let's see, going back to Book Creator. I do want to share this slide deck with you because it's got links and examples and things like that. So let me just copy that link for you. And I'm going to put that back in. Link to the deck. Okay, so you can download a certificate or have one emailed to you for participating in this workshop. We've got another one coming up at 10 o'clock Japan Standard Time on how to create a choose your own adventure story using Google Slides. And I'll show you how you can do it with Google Forms, but we'll focus on Google Slides. We have in multiple languages across Asia sessions going on. Let me just grab the sessions. The schedule of sessions, that is. And I'm going to post that in StreamYard as well on the YouTube thing. We've got dozens and dozens of presentations going on all over Asia Pacific and the world. Actually, we've got one coming up from Kuwait, another one coming up from Mexico and Brazil. Check it out. There might be something in your time zone. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Dave, especially great to see you. My pal in Uganda, who I taught with for 5 years at the American School in Japan up in Tokyo. And of course, everyone else for joining in. I'm not going to read all the names in that, but yeah, Book Creator, share it out with your community. It's such a cool tool. Thanks a lot, everyone. I'm going to end the broadcast right here, but I'll keep saying thank you in the YouTube chat.